Penny. You're going to be late for your business casual event.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'm still deciding what to wear. This is so hard. Sound and feel familiar? Well, if it does, you have experienced the paradox of choice. And I'm Annie Maria Brito. So what exactly is the paradox of choice? Well, to put it simply, it is basically what we quite just saw. I was sitting there, swarmed by hundreds of clothes, not knowing what to wear to my business casual event. The paradox of choice revolves around the concept of having too many choices to choose from and the confusion that comes from it. Personally, I've experienced it a lot before, as I'm a very indecisive person. It has been over small things such as picking a new pair of shoes to buy to big decisions such as choosing what college to go to. People say having choices is a liberty over your life, but that is not quite the reality all the time. Today, I will tell you why too many choices is just too much. While an abundance of options is said to cause happiness over the freedom to choose, the common reality often results in a spiral of stress and dissatisfaction. So it is crucial to find a filter. Before we go any further, I want to address the history behind the paradox of choice. So where did it all begin? The person who first published about the paradox of choice in the form of a book was psychologist and writer Barry Schwartz. He built on his ideas through one of his colleagues' studies that looked at retirement plans. He mentioned that adding an extra 10 points for retirement plans makes 2% less people choose a retirement plan each time. Based on this and his thought process, he wrote the book, The Paradox of Choice. So, how can you tell if you're experiencing the paradox of choice? According to Psychology Today, symptoms that the paradox of choice leaves people with are anxiety over choosing the best option, fear of the failure that comes from not choosing the best option, self-doubt and overthinking if that was not obvious already, and dissatisfaction even after making the decision. This shows us how having too many choices can really affect and do harm to an individual. Not everyone experiences this paradox on the daily. It is usually and most commonly experienced by people with high anxiety and stress levels, but anyone can experience it at any point. Generally, there are two types of people. There are maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers are people who expect the best possible outcome for the decisions that they make, whereas satisfiers are people who just pass the necessities and requirements without caring about perfection. The reason I bring this up is to identify that having a lot of options and choices is not convenient for all types of people. Many of us just end up wasting time and energy and being dissatisfied with what we choose at the end of the day, because we're always just stressing over this perfect choice. Now, I know that some argue that the more choices you have, the more freedom and control you have over your life, so it must be beneficial, right? There have been studies that demonstrate this. According to Psychology Today, an experiment with monkeys and pigeons had one button that would dispense food in one area and multiple buttons that would dispense the same food in another. Both the monkeys and pigeons, when given the option between one button or multiple, went with multiple buttons. Similarly, an experiment done at a casino with people offered the subjects with one roulette wheel or a table where they could pick from two roulette wheels to get chips. And the outcome of that experiment was that more people picked the table with two. The article went on to say, we equate having choices with having control. Our survival instincts tell us that we'll survive if we have control. While I can see that people innately want choices, I still think, again, too much is just too much. Let me show you why by showing you part of an interview I did with Miss Goldberg, a high school guidance counselor in Virginia. She took her time to share with me her anecdotal take on the paradox of choice based on her experience with high school students.
The human brain can really handle only about 7 different variations of choices, and that's from my research. That when you get beyond 7, the brain gets confused when it's trying to make choices because there's just too many choices. And as Common App, while it has reduced some of the work students have to do to apply to colleges, because it's easier to click a button and say, oh, I'm going to apply to this school and this school and this school, it has increased the number of schools that some students are applying to, which again can create that confusion, we recommend about 5 to 7 schools. And if a student has really done their homework properly, they're going to have a good result at the end of it, and not so many choices that it's confusing. I think this year we had a student apply to 40 some schools.
From that interview, what I learned is that the world offers us more choices than we can handle. Having many options seems nice, but it's not worth the swarm of confusion and stress. This paradox really shows that too many choices often creates a negative experience, as it leads students to be so confused to the point of feeling and needing to apply to 40 schools, when at the end of the day, they're only going to pick one to go to. If the problem is the fact that there are too many choices, what if we take them all away? Either this or that, just two. Keeping it nice and simple, black and white. Then wouldn't picking be a lot easier? Let's see. Well, now there's two options. There's either this or that, but both don't fit business casual. Ugh, this is so hard. What we witnessed is actually the false dilemma fallacy. It is thinking that there are only two options when the reality is completely different. In reality, I had an entire closet filled with clothes, as you saw in the beginning, but I left myself with only two. When this happens, it will not lead to happiness either. So what is the solution? Well, during the interview with Ms. Goldberg, we talked about this too. What we found is that people are so overwhelmed with choices because they fear failure. Failure that it won't be the best. Failure that something would go wrong. Failure that there was something better. A choice we make shouldn't give us regrets. The way to take the fear of failure out of making choices without taking the choices out due to fear is to implement a filter. A filter in the sense that it shortens the options that we look at right from the get-go. In a world where a plethora of options exist and where options are only growing and increasing, the best way to make a choice is to put a filter on the world. The problem isn't the fact that too many options exist in the world and that bothers us. Instead, the problem is that we actually consider all these options, even if it is irrelevant to us, due to the fear of missing out on something. So now, instead of looking at everything, I'm only going to focus on my button shirt section of the closet, which is right here. I'm really feeling this one. I think I'll just go with this. That was easy. As you guys saw today, too many choices does not give me happiness, and too many choices did more harm than good, as seen through the paradox of choice, but a filter can help with its effects. And as you saw today, as soon as I got a filter, I was not swarmed by all these options, and I was able to find my fit. Now I'm going to head out to my business casual event. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll...
Annie, the event already ended. You missed it as usual.
No way.